Now this is cool.
Hey, this is Jen Zurko. I know that Proven Winners is known for their annuals, but obviously they also do other things too. And so we're going to go over here to Natalie and talk about woody ornamentals, specifically color choice shrubs. Hi, Natalie. This is Natalie Carmoli. You're the marketing...
I'm the public relations specialist
Okay.
for Proven Winners
Got
Color
it.
Choice Shrubs.
Got it. And you're going to take us through some of the new color choice shrubs. So they're new for the trade for 2026. So they'll be new for the consumer in 2027, right?
That's correct.
And the first one we're going to talk about is actually not even new to me, of course, but new to Spring Meadow, which is this Fatsia down here. So talk about this one and what's it called?
This is called High Five Green Fingers.
And you can kind of see,
Fatsia.
you can kind of see
Yeah.
why it's called green fingers. It looks like a big,
Yeah.
like the Grinch's hand
Yeah,
or
it's
something.
like a hand reaching out to give you a high five.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And this is a really beautiful tropical plant that you can put in the shade. So a lot of times when we think tropicals, we think, oh, they need a lot of sun. But this one is nice because it can go in the shade. Yes, it does need to be in a warm climate. But if you live in a cooler climate and you want to grow High Five Green Fingers Fatsia, you can bring it in the winter time. So this is a kind of a unique shrub that can come inside in the winter and just be fine with that.
So Chris will like it in his garden in Orlando, and I will like it in my garden in Chicago when I bring it inside for the winter.
Yes, very versatile.
Okay. And speaking of some other hardy shrubs that would go well in the Chicago area here, I don't know if you want to come around this way. So we can look at this Japanese maple. And what is this one called?
Yes, this is a gorgeous new own root Japanese maple called Uncommon Thread. And you can see why it's called Uncommon Thread. Look at these lacy thread-like leaves. Just what Japanese maple is really known for, that really beautiful cut leaf look.
And when you say own root, explain that. It's not grafted then.
It's not grafted
Okay.
onto a common Japanese maple root. It's on its own root, so we don't have to worry about things like reversion. This is also a little bit quicker grower, so you're not going to be waiting forever for it to reach its 8 to 10 foot size.
And it's actually in the, what do you call it, bloom print
This is
package
our
there, or
bloom print
container?
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. Bloom print package. This is something that we offer to our growers. It is a much more sustainable package than pure plastic, which is hard to find when you're growing shrubs because they have to stay in a container for so long. This uses about 70% less plastic, and it doesn't tip over in the wind like a lot of
Oh, yeah,
containers.
that's nice.
might.
And the
So-
handles are really nice, too.
Yeah.
Okay, and then let's skip up here,
Okay.
Chris, if you want to show that one. And that one is in,
That is Pink Pony Sambucus nigra.
so that's an elderberry.
That is an elderberry.
And we were trying not to sing Pink Pony Club. We will refrain from doing that.
It does have its own song
Yeah,
built
yeah.
right in. So you can see it's a little bit different than black lace. It doesn't have that finely cut foliage. It has a little bit of a broader foliage, but it maintains that nice, deep, dark color that stays deep and dark. And then it has a bright pink, Sambucus has those great big, almost pie pan kind of pink flowers. This one's nice and deep pink, and it stays deep pink. It doesn't fade to white.
Yeah, you can't really tell on this, but you showed us in the catalog. It is really pretty. The pink really contrasts with the foliage, the dark foliage.
And those are followed by blackberries that Sambucus is so popular for.
Well, and speaking of berries, this one here has some berries that are showing.
does.
I thought for sure this was like a fragrant bush, but it looks like it would be. But I think it's just because it's so interesting with the silver foliage. What is this one called again?
That is called Silverstone, and
See?
silver
Okay,
foliage,
very good.
Silverstone, cotoneaster. And it does have really interesting, unique foliage. Almost looks kind of fuzzy, doesn't it? And it is a typical cotoneaster, twice as wide as it is tall. It'll have a white flower followed by this nifty kind of red berry. Super, super tough, super drought tolerant once established. Just a really, really nice landscape plant.
Yeah, that's great. And then up here we have something called Jade Turtle. That's a cherry laurel, right? Tell me a little bit about that one.
Cherry laurel or prunus. This is something that you could even use as a boxwood substitute because it's a nice round 3 by 3 foot size. You can see the new growth here is a red color, and then as the leaves mature, they become this really kind of
Thick and
waxy, thick, rounded leaf. Really pretty cherry laurel, a prunus that it also isn't susceptible to shot hole disease like
yeah.
some prunuses might be.
Okay. And then this one here, well, you pronounce it different than I do. I say clematis.
Clematis. Let's call the whole thing off.
That's right. But, normally people will look at their clematis or clematis
Yeah.
and they want to cut it back. But this
Right.
one, you don't have to do
This
that.
is a type 1, so it is the type that grows on old wood, so you can just leave those vines attached to whatever structure you have them growing on, which you'll want to attach it to a structure because it's going to grow over 10 feet tall. This is a Clematis montana, so it's very vigorous. It'll reach its growth very quickly. You can see the dark black, almost purpley leaf with this really unique dusty purple flower.
And what's the name again?
This is called Moongate mocha.
Oh, that's right. Moongate mocha.
Yeah, I think we didn't say that before.
Yeah, that's right. We got to make sure we tell the people what it
Yeah.
is. And obviously, Color Choice Shrubs, you guys do have a big, wider selection of roses, and this is one of your newer ones.
Yeah, this is part of our effort to create a line of roses that have everything you'd want from a garden rose, the scent, the look, but all of the ease of a shrub rose. So this is called Reminiscent Ginger. It's the 4th color in our Reminiscent series of garden roses.
And it
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, it
beautiful
smells so
smell.
good. It
You can
smells so good.
see how beautiful the rosebud is. It's covered in rosebud, so it's really prolific. It's really disease resistant, so we're not worried
Yeah.
about a lot of black spot and powdery mildew on the leaves, which is kind of a non-negotiable.
And I can see
for
why you call
us.
it ginger because of the color, but to me, it smells like ginger. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
Isn't that something? And it's just a really beautiful medium-sized rose, easy to grow.
And then we have 2 more left, and then
Yeah.
let's talk about this one a little bit. What's
This is a Spirea betrifolia, birch leaf spirea. We call this one Glowgirl Pink, following a very popular birch leaf spirea that we already have in our collection called Glowgirl. This is Glowgirl Pink, so instead of white flowers, we have pink flowers and that same glowing green foliage.
And then you mentioned, so the last one we'll talk about, you mentioned before the cherry laurel being a substitute for boxwood, but this one can be as well, right?
Yeah, hence the name Candy Box.
And all one word, candy
Yeah,
box.
Candy Box. And this is a Ugni, Ugni, Ugni.
I thought it was sushi, but Ugni sushi. Yeah.
Or a Chilean guava, as its common name. And you can see it has nice fine foliage. This will grow into a nice rounded shape, but like boxwood, you can shear it, you can make it a tuna can, you can make it a round ball, you can make it a square. It's really going to respond well to that, but of course not have a lot of the issues
disease
that
issues.
boxwood
Yeah.
has. And also as an extra bonus, you get a pink flower and a delicious little fruit.
Oh, that's right. That has an edible berry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. So you have to fight the birds for that.
Yeah.
But that's what we have here for 2026 into 2027 for the consumer for Color Choice Shrubs.
Yes.
So thank you, Natalie. I appreciate you taking me through.
Yeah, you can find all of these shrubs at springmeadownursery.com. If you're looking to bring in some liners, we have these plus a whole new variety section that you can take a look at.
Perfect. Thank you so much.